So, any questions for me in general? It doesn't have to be about what I was talking about. Could be about my life and history, or could be about RPGs, could be about, you know, fighting games, could be about whatever. I'm definitely going to be streaming a lot more weekly. Before, so much of my focus had to have been on those tournaments that were going on. Dude, I so want to do EU versus NA. We'll make that happen, for sure. We'll make that happen. You find the players, though. I know Arasu's over in France. So, Dr. Cheesestick, I'm absolutely a fan of Vampire Savior. Vampire Savior is I would say one of the top, I want to say top 5, maybe top 6 fighting games of all time. I love Vampire Savior. Vampire Savior's amazing. And I would love to see Vampire Savior kind of improve as well. Classic SNK fighting games, depends on the fighting game. SNK made a lot of crap, but that's only because they made a lot of fighting games overall, right? So SNK fighting games, I'd say Guerrero Mark of the Wolves is probably the best of all of them, but I also really love Samurai Showdown 5 Special and Samurai Showdown 2. Those are both really, really good. My favorite King of Fighters game. I don't think it's a controversial opinion, but I think it's not really a common opinion for King of Fighters. The way I approach a lot of these fighting games, because they have different versions, right? If a version is played, so let's say for example you have Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, and you got Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Those are both versions of Street Fighter 2 that are played. I don't like to pick the same characters twice, because then it'll kind of mix me up between the games. So in Hyper Fighting I play Chun-Li, and in Super Turbo I play Dictator. Just because I don't want to mix things up between the versions. Same goes for King of Fighters. So King of Fighters, the problem is it's got a whole bunch of versions. You got King of Fighters 98. I play that one. 98, the Slugfest. I don't really play too much of Ultimate Match, FE. But 98 Slugfest I play. 2002 Unlimited Match, I play that one. I have a different team from both of those two games. My favorite one, though, is this, King of Fighters 11. Love King of Fighters 11. I'm in love with this game. It's my favorite King of Fighters game of all time, for sure. Love 11. 11's great. So I have a different team for 11 than what I've got for the other ones. But I also play a fair amount of King of Fighters 13 too. I love 11. 11's so much fun. I would love to see more 11 stuff. But I also, if I were to focus on King of Fighters, I would probably focus on King of Fighters 98. Over any other King of Fighters game. Maybe 2002 Unloaded Match. I probably won't focus on 11 if I'm trying to promote stuff. But, what's the worst fighting game I've played? There's a lot of bad ones, and there's some really bad ones. I kind of showed a game on here earlier called Unholy Night. Unholy Night is really bad. Like, not just funny bad, it's really bad. Let me get the cartridge for you. I'll show you the cartridge. So Unholy Night came out in 2018, and it's a 2018 Super Nintendo fighting game. It was made by former King of Fighters devs, and this game is hot garbage. This game is horrible. Cost me $60 for Super Nintendo to get this game. I got the case and the manual and everything. This game is terrible. Definitely recommend it. Definitely recommend it. Speaking of terrible. Oh, people were asking me what's my favorite RPG. I saw that question there. I answered this earlier. But by far, Xenogears is my favorite RPG of all time. It actually literally changed my life. Like, the way the story was written and everything. I think I had, like, a full-on religious experience with this game. Not going to go too deep in it. Highly recommend it to everybody in the world. Xenogears is the greatest video game of all time, really, as far as RPGs are concerned. I don't want to go too deep into it, but it's really, really good. That's my my profile picture is based off of a character from Xenogears. What were some other questions here? Melty Blood. Melty Blood is one of my favorite fighting games of all time. That's true. It's very good. Very good. Let's see here. Who do I want to see return in Strive? I'd love to see Bridget. Come on. Have you guys seen Bridget in Vast Edge? Building your Vast Edge? Bridget's in there. Bridget cut his hair. He has shorter hair, but okay. If you guys haven't seen it, I can see if I can look up a photo for it. You can kind of see this here. This is Bridget from Vast Edge. So Bridget looks pretty different. He now has shorter hair. Grown up a little bit, it looks like, you know. His shoes are still a little weird. Yeah, Bridget wouldn't be too hard, I don't think. Bridget wouldn't be too hard. Look at him, you know. He cut his. I like the hair. The hair looks a lot better. The outfit looks actually very different. At start it doesn't look like it's that different, but it does look pretty different. Why do people hate Jacko? Because Jacko's terrible. Terrible design. When's the Plus R EX character tournament? I want to run a Plus R EX character tournament. I didn't want to do one when the beta was kind of, or when GGPO was in beta because we had limited time, but now we don't have limited time. So I'm actually up for an EX character tournament sometime in the future. No idea what's up with the Vast Edge fluorescent colors. I actually never played Vast Edge. Or even seen much of the gameplay from it, so I don't really know much about Vast Edge other than the pictures I've seen. I think some of you might have missed this too. This is Unholy Night. This game is terrible. Terrible. It's a 2018 Super Nintendo fighting game made by King of Fighters devs. And it's horrible. What's my favorite Guilty Gear EX character? I like Chip. EX Chip's fun. What do I think of newer Guilty Gears? You mean like Xrd? So here's a weird spot, right? So if I'm comparing Xrd to X2 series, like Plus R, I do think, of course, Plus R is better than Xrd, and I can give a lot of reasons why. But you compare Xrd to pretty much any other fighting game on the market, and Xrd's going to beat most of them. I mean, Xrd's way, way better than Street Fighter V. It's way better than Dragon Ball FighterZ. It's way better than a lot of this other stuff. BlazBlue Tag Battle is better than BlazBlue. It's a lot better than almost any other fighting game on the market. But the problem is, it's not in a vacuum, and we're comparing it to Plus R. And Plus R did so many things right that they got rid of in Xrd, and they kind of did a little bit wrong when they tweaked Xrd, that I don't think Xrd is as great of a game as Plus R. It's not a bad game. Not a bad game at all. I probably would prefer not to stream Unholy Night. Xrd, so for me, Plus R, at its heart, at Plus R's heart, it is crazy and it is fast. You have to have both of those. It has to be fast, and it also has to be stupid in the craziest, best way possible. And you can't have Plus R without, or you can't have Guilty Gear without either of those two elements. Guilty Gear 1, fast and crazy. Guilty Gear Accent Core, X2, all of them fast and crazy. Plus R did both of those, but did it the best way you can have it. Xrd is still fast and crazy. Still Guilty Gear. Absolutely. Strive, on the other hand, I think they've reduced the speed. I don't think Strive is fast. I also don't think Strive is crazy, which kind of goes against the entire heart of Guilty Gear. Yeah, so I don't think Strive feels like a Guilty Gear game. I know it's kind of cliche to say Strive's not Guilty Gear. Strive's not Guilty Gear. Grab your pitchforks, but it doesn't fit fast and crazy. Wild, I guess. Wild and crazy and fast. Wild and fast. That's not Strive. That does not describe Strive. It describes Xrd. It describes Plus R. It describes Missing Link. But you can't have Guilty Gear that's not wild and fast. You can't. If you want like my full critique of Strive so far, I know Strive's not out, but I've been on 2 different betas for Strive. I was at a beta for over at Arc Revo. I was on the beta for it, when they had the live beta. If you want to see that, I did upload a YouTube channel, YouTube video for that. Guilty Gear 1 is definitely wild and fast. Definitely wild and fast. Also, I guess Guilty Gear should be a little bit difficult, a little bit. Ishwatari, when he was interviewed, he said that he was upset at all of these easy fighting games and he wanted to create one that was hard to make, hard to play. And that was kind of his focus. That was what he wanted to do for Guilty Gear in general when they were making Missing Link. But yeah, so Xrd, there's just a few. It's mostly just critiques, like, oh, I don't like that they made this decision. You know, whatever. Those are very minor when you get to fighting games. Like what makes a good fighting game? Are there infinites, and can you play with more than one character? That's what makes a good fighting game. Because it's so hard to just come over those two possible options. Can you play with more than one character? And are there infinites? Because it's so hard to even just beat that hurdle. So I feel like good fighting games are after that. At that point. I don't know what they wanted to do with Overture, or with Missing Link. What I heard in an interview was that it was their first video game and they had no clue what they were doing. So they messed up a whole lot of stuff. But Guilty Gear 1, at least, as much of a bad game it is, it definitely has great presentation. If you look at some of those, like, the endings, they're really good. Other than the rock theme, what were the inspirations to Guilty Gear? I mean, there was... oh, you're talking about a specific question that he asked while taking inspirations from everything. I mean, there's so many inspirations in Guilty Gear. I mean, when it comes to fighting games in general, everything took an inspiration from Street Fighter 2. Everything did, you know? So, I mean, you can't have a modern fighting game without having Street Fighter 2. They took that. I don't know about JoJo actually being an inspiration to Guilty Gear 1. But they have desperation attacks. Desperations. So yeah, not JoJo the fighting game, but JoJo the anime manga. Yeah, okay, that could be the case. And JoJo has a lot of rock references as well. As far as gameplay is concerned, you know, they have the desperation attacks from old Fatal Fury games, where if you have low health, you can do infinite supers. So they took that for Guilty Gear 1. There's stuff that Guilty Gear 1 kind of did that I don't think anybody else did. They added faultless defense. I think in Guilty Gear 1 has faultless defense. You don't see that anywhere else.